All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. Another episode, Underestimated Podcast. We back, episode 44. All right, so listen. So this episode is pretty much an idea that I came up with on my own. Um, and so we can kind of say it's a conspiracy theory, but I just thought it was real interesting to me. So I'm gonna be honest. Let me back up a little bit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie Draft Day. Uh, I just saw it, believe it or not, for the first time about, let's say, 2 weeks ago. Well, for the first time, like all the way through. I mean, I've sat and watched glimpses of it, like short segments at a time, but I have never just sat and watched the movie in its entirety. And I did that for the first time about 2 weeks ago. It's a great movie. Definitely has entered one of my favorite sports movies of all time. And so I want to think. I'm trying to think of whether I watched it before or after I did my 2025 NFL mock draft. But that's neither here nor there. Um, it was still around like the same time, so it doesn't really matter that much. So so fast forward a little bit. I'm actually watching the draft as it happened. I watched the draft in its entirety from the first pick to the very last pick, right? And so I was talking to like my closest friend, and I was like, I actually predicted that Shedeur Sanders would be a Cleveland Brown the night before he got drafted. I was like, what if the Browns still actually go and get him? And then obviously, like, we know that they selected a quarterback before him, and Dylan Gabriel. But their very first choice was Mason Graham in the first round. They traded down. They initially had the second pick, which I think if anybody watched my mock draft, I believe I initially had them going with Abdul Carter, but they traded down from number 2 to number 5 with Jacksonville, and then ultimately got Mason Graham, the defensive tackle. And I was baffled. I don't think anyone expected Mason Graham to go number 5 to the Cleveland Browns, or to go to the Browns, period. And then so as I'm like looking at that, right, and then assessing them going to get Shedeur at 144 in the 5th round, I'm just thinking back to the movie Draft Day, right? And I'm sitting there like, did the Cleveland Browns literally just bring the movie Draft Day to life? Let's get into it. So, the more I think about it, the more I just start to believe that the Cleveland Browns front office, may have watched Draft Day one too many times before the 2025 NFL Draft. Either that, or they were just straight up trying to live it out in real time. Because, I mean, think about it. In the movie, you got character Sonny Weaver played by Kevin Costner. He's under fire for, from all sides, media, ownership, the fan base, and what does he do? He makes bold, calculated, and emotionally driven moves that kind of defy conventional logic, and all to reshape the culture and identity of his team in one wild 24-hour span. And so in real life, this year, it feels like Andrew Berry and the Browns took a page directly out of Sonny Weaver's book. So let's start with the quarterback drama, right? So basically, because just like in Draft Day, It was the emotional heartbreak of Cleveland's 2025 draft. In the movie, the biggest debate is over a flashy, high-profile quarterback named Bo Callahan, right? So everyone thinks he's just this surefire thing, but Sonny isn't really buying it. He digs deeper, trusts his gut, and goes with a guy he believes in, right? And so now, fast forward to real life, Shedeur Sanders falls to the 5th round, despite all the early hype, despite being one of the most talked about names all season long. There were whispers about personality concerns, coachability, distractions. Does that sound familiar? Well, instead of falling for the media field hype, the Browns waited out, and when the moment feels right, they pounce. And here's where it gets eerie, right? So Shedeur, much like Bo Callahan, had his own public image. He had his own narrative, but unlike in the movie, the Browns still grabbed him, almost like they believed in him, and rewriting the end of the story that the draft they kind of started. And then there's the message of the movie itself about believing in your people, trusting the team you're building, and being bold enough to go against the grain. That's what Cleveland kind of did this year. Drafting not just one, but 2 quarterbacks, Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd, and then Shedeur Sanders in the 5th, while already having Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco. That's a chaotic quarterback room, and some might say it's overkill. But in draft day, Sonny made moves that made no sense to outsiders until the vision kind of clicked into place, right? So the Browns might be betting that competition breeds greatness, which in most cases is to a certain degree somewhat true, and that somewhere in the chaos is in their future leader, there being Vontae Mack. And that's someone they believed in who when pretty much no one else did, right? And let's not ignore the depth and culture building of the rest of the class. Just like Sonny Weaver didn't just draft flashy names, he drafted heart, character, grit. I mean, the Browns took players like Mason Graham to anchor the trenches, Quinshon Judkins to give that backfield some pop, and even a tight end like Harold Fannin Jr., the kind of glue guy who makes offenses home. And so these aren't just names; these are chess pieces. It's almost like they were constructing a story, not just a roster. Now let's talk about that quarterback room again. Okay, so you've got Deshaun Watson, who the franchise has heavily invested in but still hasn't fully delivered for a plethora of reasons. I mean, outside stuff, injuries. I mean, he's pretty much been going through it all, the whole nine, the past couple of years in Cleveland. And so you've got Joe Flacco, the veteran who revived his career last season and earned a whole lot of respect. Then you add Dillon Gabriel, a gutsy competitor who knows how to win and isn't afraid of the moment. And finally, you throw in Shedeur Sanders, who might be the most confident rookie in this elite class, but that room feels like a pressure cooker, but also like the setup for a leadership trial by fire. Whoever rises from that room would have earned it. And that sounds exactly like something Sonny Weaver would have designed. A gauntlet that forces the right to a guy who can, I guess, so to speak, reveal himself. And just like in the movie, the Browns front office didn't chase the loudest narratives. They built their own. They didn't trade up to make a splash. They waited. They actually, like I said earlier, traded down. I mean, they waited, they played the board, and they let value fall to them. They didn't just focus on names, they focused on roles, fit, and chemistry. And I mean, to me, obviously, it seems like a very draft day like approach. Ignore the noise, trust the process, and believe that if you make the right decisions for the right reasons, the results will come. And so here's like another twist that I just simply can't ignore. Right? In the movie, Sonny takes a massive gamble by trading picks, right? Then flipping them again to who he really wants. Now look at Andrew Barry. He didn't have a first round pick this year, except for that second pick, right? And yet somehow the Browns still walked away with a class that feels impactful. It's it's like he was making moves that behind the scenes to load up players he felt strongly about. Despite not being in the top 32 spotlight, and if you go back and watch the draft footage, right, there's this calm confidence in the war room as if they already knew how the board would fall. That's some draft day level clairvoyance right there. And just like another point that I could bring in that's kind of full circle, draft day isn't just about football. It's about legacy. It's about owning the moment. Sonny had the ghost of his father hanging over him. The pressure to do things the right way and the need to prove he could lead his own voice. And you know what? The Browns draft class feels like a similar turning point. The franchise has been haunted by years of false starts, bad drafts, and instability. But this class in particular, it feels intentional. It feels like a new chapter, like they're done chasing fires and finally building something sustainable. And if we're lucky, maybe, just maybe, this draft is their real life draft day moment. I just can't get over the fact that in my head, draft day and the 2025 draft day, both by the Cleveland Browns, mesh to be in similarity. And it's crazy to even think that because if I'm not mistaken, that movie came out about 10 years ago. So 10 years later for it to happen is it's pretty insane. And then you have the guy, I can't think of his name, the quarterback that they already had at draft day, that had the messed up knee and everything. That's Deshaun Watson. Then like Vontae Mack, I can say that is Mason Graham. You talk about Bo Callahan, that is Shedeur Sanders. Like it just, what the Cleveland Browns are doing right now literally screams draft day to me. And you know, obviously we don't. I think like it. Well, there's like a scene at the end where they're about to they're in the tunnel, getting all hype and rowdy, and you know they're about to run out, but we don't really see anything after that, so we never really get a chance to see, how Vontae and Bo Callahan pan out. But we will get to see how Mason Graham and Shedeur Sanders pan out. So far, I haven't heard anything about Mason Graham. I think, sadly enough, even though he was a top 5 pick, like the noise surrounding the Browns is going to be Shedeur Sanders. I just saw that he is going to go with number 12 this season, paying homage to his mentor Tom Brady. And also, Tom Brady revealed the text that he sent to Shedeur on draft day. This could get interesting. Not saying that Shedeur is going to be the next Tom Brady, but this is some interesting stuff. Yeah, I think he's only wearing 12 because that dude Devin Carter, Took two before Shador could get his hands on it. So yeah, I mean, this is gonna be pretty interesting. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this whole thing. If y'all think I might be right about my theory on the correlation between the movie Draft Day and the actual draft day of 2025 by the Cleveland Browns. In reality, I'm gonna get out of here. Always remember, don't underestimate, appreciate.